Hello everybody. I haven't done a video yet again in a very long time. So I just kind of I've actually done a ton of repotting. I have some new plants. So I figured I'd go through and kind of show you guys what's new, some of the new growth happening that I'm excited about. Maybe even some of the problems I've been facing lately with my environment. But yeah. So obviously my plants are in my basement on the shelf here, or ledge. And over the winter I mentioned to you guys that I was having a lot of issues with my plants drying out too fast. So over the summer and as of lately, I started repotting almost everything in sphagnum moss. Now, the problem that I've ran into now with this is that over the summer I was dealing with mold problems. Primarily in my self-watering pots, or maybe like just on the tops and edges here. So I did purchase a fan. I don't know if you guys can hear it in the background. And I've been having that going downstairs now because it's not even winter yet, but it's getting cold outside, and as you can see, my humidity went from like 60-70% down to 54%, and that's with my baseboard heaters not even on yet down here. Over the winter it gets down to 30 and 40%. So hoping this sphagnum moss helps keep my plants hydrated, because having almost 50 plants, I can't keep up with it. So that's where I'm at right now. So I'm gonna come back over here. So we have one of my minis here. This one I haven't repotted at all recently, but it's probably coming up here. But it's doing pretty good. No complaints there. This was one of my kikis, actually my first kiki ever. And we have some new root growth happening there, so nice green roots. Pretty happy with that one. The Sherry Baby here, still not sure. I feel like the self-watering pot has been beneficial, but it's still hard to see with the amount of crinkly leaves that are entangled in this massive area. So still, I mean, there's a lot of good air that's happening, so I'm still gonna like leave that one in self-watering, but I think most of my other Oncidiums actually were not happy in the sphagnum moss, or like the ones that look like Oncidiums that are like burr, or sorry, I can't pronounce half these names. That one. So yeah, this one I got over the summer from our picnic at the auction. So since it's one that likes to pretty much stay continually wet, a lot of people do this, leave water in the bottom. So that one's been doing well overall. There was a new growth here that did die. I don't know if it's just from the shock of me putting it in a new environment, but it's still growing new leaves here, so I'm happy. This one I had just repotted. It was one that was having, I'm pretty sure this one that was having the main mold issues, or the worst. It was in a self-watering pot. So I went ahead and repotted it, and I'm trying something a little bit new. I'm putting bark chips in the bottom because I'm hoping that'll keep the roots out of like anything like soggy, puddly messes. And then I put it on the top too. I mean, maybe I'm just trying to cover up the problem, but yeah, I'm just hoping that keeps some aeration around the top here, because I was noticing mold like starting to creep up on some of the plants because they were potted too deep. So I'm hoping this is less wet then around that area to help that from happening. So something I'm trying. And I did that with this orchid too. It's another bowl. So yeah, same thing. One thing I did notice though, guys, is I thought I was buying like the really nice sphagnum moss, but I think it was kind of like a mock of the good stuff, because this was like, had like some sharp pieces in it and like little twigs and stuff. And usually my brick that I get didn't have all that extra stuff in it. And I noticed that this was darker. Like, these are just repotted, and like if you kind of see there compared to like this one, I don't think this is premium grade, so might have been another learning curve there. Thought I was buying the high quality stuff, and this may not have been. In fact, I think I'm starting to see gnats flying around And I swear when you don't get the good sphagnum moss, there's like eggs in it. So hopefully I didn't just screw myself a little bit more with my repotting, since I just did like 6 orchids in that. So we'll find out. Stay tuned. This one was another repot. Gotta actually water that one. I think it's been pretty happy overall too in the sphagnum. This one's been one of the ones I've repotted for a few weeks now. This one actually broke in half when I was repotting it. So there's another one over here. So we'll see how they do separated. This was probably the one that had like the worst crinkle leaves out of my newer plants. So I'm hoping that it'll like this potting instead. I told people I was a little stumped because, like I said, my environment was super humid over the summer, so I know humidity wasn't an issue. I had just repotted them and their roots looked fine, but then I got paranoid and I just repotted them out of self-watering and the roots were still fine, but I have crinkle leaves. So not really sure, because you know, you would think the roots would be dried up and dead if they weren't getting enough water, and too much water would also kill the roots. So yeah, a little bit of a mystery at the moment. I did get this Vanda at the show I went to, or festival, orchid festival. So really pretty. I'm gonna try not to kill it because it's very water intensive. I have a bucket. I just use the same water. I'm sure occasionally I'll have to fill it again, but that's my way of doing it because I have to make my own water and I couldn't fill a bucket every day of fresh new water. So this one's doing super well in sphagnum moss. You can see the new happy roots in there. To my boyfriend, that's rip porn. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's happy. My twinkle is spiking. So that'll be a first rebloom for me on a twinkle, so that's also exciting. Sphagnum moss as well in here. But, like, see what I mean? Like, kind of like mold will, like, happen. So, kind of annoying. Here's my dendrobium that I'm surprised is still alive because it dropped so many leaves when I bought it. But it does have 3 new growths happening, so that's good. I think this was part of the one that split, because that tag is not accurate. I wrote on the other side what it is. Another Sherry baby. Not much happening there. A Phalaenopsis that wants to fall out of the pot. Kind of drives me crazy. This one has been through a lot. This is the one that since I bought it like 2 years ago, it like something like it started to almost have like crown rot, and then it stopped, but it doesn't put out new leaves, but it makes kikis, so I've held on to it. But then it fell one day and the leaf broke. So we have this orchid with a kiki down here too, and then in the self-watering, and this, or not self-watering, in the slotted pot. So this is what's been happening, which is good. My Cattleya, that's been putting out a lot of new roots, so I'm pretty happy with that as well. Do I think it's going to rebloom? No, it looks like in here, I think dried up on me. So I don't think that's going to do anything, but overall it seems happy. I might be putting this one in sphagnum soon as well. Another frag in self-watering. So far so good. This one also did have mold problems. But I think since I put the fan on, it's been doing pretty well. Phalaenopsis falling out of the pot. I'm running out of room here too. Another one at a different angle. Again, like all of these are doing pretty well in their slotted pots with the sphagnum, but yeah. Then we have my Bellina, also very happy. I went from like soaking all these too. This is another pro for me, because I was going through so much water soaking these. When you have them in sphagnum, unless you're like trying to like flush them, I just like put water up to here when I'm like quote unquote soaking them, and then it like spreads out on its own. Like it takes like longer that way, but every day I just pick a few that seem like they're getting dry and I do that. And it disperses and it's just less water then, which is nice. Another fail. Another fail. They do take up a lot of room, folks. This one I had in basically a mesh pot. That was a bad idea. It dried out like super fast and I couldn't keep up with it. Oh look, there's a gnat. See what I mean? So I just put this one into a slotted pot and there was barely any roots left, so probably because I couldn't keep up with the watering, but it looks like the ones that were left are taking off, so that's what I care about. Oh, and we even got something I think trying to poke through there, so that's good. And a new leaf. My puppy's trying to see what I'm doing. Hey, Bubba. He's like, why aren't you paying attention to me? Yeah, he's the one, all these damaged plants, yeah, he did that when we first brought him home, basically. He somehow got up on the futon and knocked a bunch of plants down, even though he's a mini dachshund. So, my damaged plants, you can thank my puppy for. My dendrobium, that has still never bloomed for me. This is the latest growth. Looks pretty good overall, but yep, still doesn't want to bloom for me. So I did realize I've had this orchid for probably 2+ years and I've never repotted it. So it's probably due. Just showed you guys a glimpse of my laundry on here. Another phal that stopped putting leaves out here as well, even though there was no crown rot or anything, and did this instead. I don't think this is a Kiki though, because it's not producing any new roots from that. So, kind of weird, but we'll work with it, see what happens. And jump over to my Cattleya. This spent the summer outside, and this is the first time I've ever had this orchid even sheath for me. And this is one of my oldest orchids. I've probably had it for 3 or 4 years now, and I was just about ready to give it away. And I decided to try it outside first. This is actually the second summer I put it out. And yeah, it's sheathing, so hopefully it blooms. Fingers crossed. This is my other Cattleya that went outside and has 3 new pseudobulbs forming. Pseudobulbs, leaves, all that. So that one was very happy outside. This is another orchid I got from the festival. And it's got its new growth right here. This one I picked up from the Illinois Orchid Show. I think they, yeah, also a new growth. So, and nice green roots. It's a Laelia. I have one other one of that, and it's doing okay. I think it's actually hanging up here. Gotta go back. Yeah, so this one also was outside this summer, and I thought that like this one would bloom, but it also I think dried up on me. So that's okay. It still seemed pretty happy outside. And then we have this guy that was given to me on the Orcaholics page. She was just giving them away. So, Epidendrum, I believe. And that one was outside too. The leaves turned like really red or pinky on a lot of them. It might have been a little too much sun, but yeah. Alright, go upstairs really quick. Alright, and then these are my living room orchids at the moment. I got this one from Hauserman's. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is that some people think it's cute, but my understanding is that that's a deformity, which could be from a virus. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a little concerning. So I'll have to be careful with that one until I can actually afford virus testing. Another orchid I had repotted recently in sphagnum. Pretty happy. So, say it's doing pretty well. And then this one I got from Equigenera, and ready for this guy is the spike. I'm like not sure when it's gonna stop growing. It's kind of crazy. I just staked it because it was getting really tall and I didn't want it to snap on me because my mom just had one snap on her. So I was like, yeah, I better spike that. But yeah, it just like, it's not even branching yet. So let's see, I got the tag. It looked really cool. Only bad thing about this one right now is I didn't want to disturb it. So I just threw it, like literally it was like wrapped up, you know, in newspaper, and I just took the newspaper out and just like dropped it in a pot with the sphagnum that it came in. But again, with like mold, like that's happening here, but I'm just like nervous to like repot it because of the spike. So I'm just paranoid right now. All right, one more room. I said one more, but I actually forgot. I have this guy who was also spent my cymbidium, spent the summer outside. Looking a little rough in some areas, but it's the first time I've had it. Before I had it in a pot that kept tipping over. And then I bought this ceramic one and it held up. But this one did have scale on it. I have not seen any signs of scale since I treated it and had it outside for the summer, so just trying to keep an eye on it. And then this is one of my Oncidiums that I've probably showed you guys a few times because it literally blooms a few times a year for me, so I'm sure this one will bloom once it matures. And it's been in a self-watering pot. So I should say this is the only other orchid that's actually enjoyed the self-watering pot. So same thing though, I don't let it sitting in the like it doesn't sit in water, especially over the summer with the humidity in my house. So I just let it like, you know, trickle some water in there and let it spread out and then dump any excess water. Alright, and excuse my mess in this room because this is like Jen's junk room essentially. And I just happened to put these orchids in here because they were orchids I was having issues with spider mites in the past, and I'm still paranoid, so they're still in here. So there's still some weird things happening with them that looks kind of spider mitey, but I don't see signs of spider mites other than the leaves turning a weird color, so I'm not really sure. But that's this room. Nothing too exciting. These two are repotted. This one was repotted. Yeah, and these two have just still been like that, so still monitoring them. And I almost forgot, here's my mom's Cattleya. This is our like move-in room, like stuff that we still need to unbox, so. But this is my mom's Cattleya. She had really bad scale on this, so I was trying to treat it for her. It's looking pretty rough at the moment. The scale was pretty bad on it. Again, I'm still not sure if it's gone, so I always try to separate the orchids when I can if I think that they might have issues still. There's some new growth happening on it. I mean, it's a massive orchid, so I mean, it definitely has potential to bounce back, but just trying to keep it separate from now. But yeah, I think that's all I got right now. This video got way longer than I expected, but that's because I'm a busy person and don't get to post videos as much. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks, bye. It's like literally not shutting off.